This is all blue, you know?
Oh my God.
And then there's tape up there. Yeah. And even this is different.
Hello, I'm Corey Riley. I'm an object conservator here at the North Carolina Museum of Art, and we're currently conserving King Saul. When he first comes in, he goes through the registration department to make sure we have all of the paperwork in place, and then he comes to conservation, where we're going to be cleaning and preparing him. He lived in a school in England for 150 years, and so there's lots of grime on the surface of him that we're cleaning off now before he goes on to exhibition. We're using some cotton swabs to apply an ethanol and water mixture here on an area that has not been cleaned. So I moisten the surface, and then we take a white Stedler eraser, and then we're essentially erasing the years of dirt. One of the things that we are cleaning King Saul with is actually saliva. So in order to use saliva and the eraser, there's enzymes in your spit that take some of the dirt off of the surface. And so although your grandmother and mother have been cleaning everything with spit for a long time, it also is very good for some of these artifacts. It's gentle and it does not disturb the surface. Since he was in a school since 1920 until now, when we purchased him last summer, I have some samples of bubble gum that came out from underneath his foot. We also have found some of this blue chalk, and what we kept saying is that it looked like pool chalk, and sure enough, in one of the pictures we've gotten from the school in the 1970s, it was right next to a snooker table, which is like pool, and they probably were using chalk on the end of their cues and decorating Saul over time. There's been glitter around him, a bunch of pine needles and such, even though he was never outside, because they would decorate him for Christmas at the end of term. He was Gandalf and Santa Claus and all kinds of things for these events. And it's been really fun to get some of the pictures from the students showing their affection and love for him when they were at the school. Well, his toe broke off. We actually know exactly what happened. It went missing in the 1940s, and they didn't know what happened. It just disappeared in the middle of the night. The sandal broke off also, but they had the sandal. And then in the 1970s, there's an alumni magazine, and a former student wrote a confessional. He was very, very sorry and very guilty for all these years, because he and his friend had been in the common room at the school, and they accidentally dropped a sledgehammer on the toe. For all the years that it lived with students, there's so many places that could have been broken that weren't. So the toe really is an anomaly. It is really the only area of Saul that has had some serious damage.
My name is Lawrence Hayda, and I was asked to make the missing toe. I wanted to get a record myself of the feet before I started. Now that I had the left toe, I used that for a model to copy to make the right one. Once I had this to work from, I made a toe that would fit it out of clay, and I began pouring many different toes until I got the right one. And then it was up to Corey Riley with her magic, to make it merge with the rest of the foot.
Everything in conservation, when we add toes, this sort of thing, it's not a very common thing, but it's all reversible. So any material that I use to attach this toe will be easily reversible in time. So we want future generations of conservators or art historians to be able to reverse what we're doing. We are cleaning to a point at which we are happy. We're just getting off everything that we can with these simple measures. We're going to assess what we think at the end of this. Mariana over here is working on some areas where there's been abrasion on the surface. So if you are sitting in Saul's lap and your legs were hanging over that side, your feet would be kicking in this area where there's lots of abrasion. We want everyone to be able to appreciate Saul as a whole and not have any of the areas that have been damaged be distracting. I was an archaeologist before I was a conservator. And so I was digging in Turkey and Italy and was more concerned with the artifacts after they came out of the ground than the actual process. But it was something incredibly moving to actually be the first person to touch these things after thousands and thousands of years. And so that's really what drove me to go back to school for conservation. As conservators, we don't really feel like we are artists, which is an interesting thing too. We feel like we are cleaning and enhancing something that's already been created. And so often people ask us, do you feel like you're an artist changing this? And really, no, we're just honoring what was there already.